Good morning, mistress. Did you sleep well? I must say, it's a rather pleasant experience to sleep here, instead of in my own, admittedly, cold bed. No, mistress, my rooms are adequate. I just meant to express my pleasure at having someone to hold in the night. It is still early, mistress, but I need to dress and be about my duties, especially before the maids begin their work. I have a spare set of clothes here in your room for such an occasion. I prepare for everything. It's what allows me to be such a useful member of your household, and useful to you. No, you don't need to turn on the light. I'm able to find my way without it. Mistress, I said I didn't need the light. You wanted to see me. No, you haven't seen me completely bare before, and that was by design. I didn't want you to see. The scars on my back have been there for many years. Mistress, I must get back downstairs before anyone notices where I spent the night. I don't wish to discuss the matter any further at this time. Perhaps some other time. I will arrange for your breakfast tray to be sent up at the usual time. Until later then, mistress. Mistress, I have brought the mail. Nothing of consequence, a few reports, and your latest magazine subscription has arrived. A letter for me? Inside your magazine? My apologies. I'll speak to the postman to take better care when bringing mail. Who's writing to me? Mistress, it hardly seems appropriate for me to open a personal letter in front of you. The addressee is from your factory. Who would be writing to me from your factory? An excellent question. Mistress, I'm afraid this letter is not as personal as I first believed. It is from an old friend who works at your factory. We've known each other many years. He writes to tell me of concerns he has regarding conditions in your factory. What conditions? I'm afraid quite terrible ones. Broken machinery, unsafe and unsanitary conditions for the workers, and it seems also rather brutal treatment from managers. Yes, mistress, I'm afraid that does include beatings. My friend asks me to speak to you about improving the conditions of the factory for the sake of those who work there. I'm sorry to bring this to your attention, mistress, and if it were from a less reliable source, I would doubt its veracity, but I've known Alexander for years. Here, take a look at the letter for yourself. It is troubling. I know that such practices are not uncommon in factories like these. I have seen it for myself, unfortunately. Some merely refer to it as the price of doing business. If that is what you wish, we can certainly arrange a visit to inspect the place in person. However, these men can be quite adept at hiding such misdeeds. Yes, a surprise visit would not give them the time to try to conceal the conditions. But I must warn you, they will not take kindly to anyone questioning them. Least of all a woman. Yes, I suppose they don't know you well enough yet. I trust that you'll make them all too aware that you are not someone to be underestimated. They will quickly know the little tyrant and what she is capable of. No, mistress. I don't see any reason to hesitate on this matter at all. We can depart at your earliest convenience. And thank you for taking this issue seriously. I can only imagine the stress Alexander must be under to reach out to me after all this time and implore me to bring it to your attention. Yes, mistress. I'll arrange for the carriage this afternoon. We should be there soon. The day seems particularly pleasant, don't you think? Mistress, why are you staring at me so intently? I see. You're still curious about my scars, then? It isn't a very pleasant subject to discuss, but perhaps one that I should share with you in order to prepare you for what you might encounter at the factory. Did your father ever mention how I came into his service? No, I'm not surprised, but it is part of this story. Discussing this will not upset you? Very well. I used to work in one of your family's factories. From the time I was young, I had to work to help support my family. The conditions were not any better back then. In fact, they were worse. For at the time, all the machines were new. Few were adept at keeping them in working order. The men in charge didn't take pity on us younger workers. We were punished severely for mistakes. Though there were times I tried to put myself in harm's way to protect the younger ones. And on one of those days, where I was bearing the brunt of it, your father happened to come in. He dismissed the foreman on the spot and called a doctor to see to my wounds. Your poor father. I poured out my heart to him, explaining the conditions of the factory. And graciously, he transferred me from the factory to service at his house. I began as a page, and was trained up through the years from there. I am forever grateful to your father for getting me out of that environment. My only regret is that I wasn't able to help the others that were left behind. Alexander and I began to exchange letters to keep in touch. After that foreman left, things did improve at the factory, at least for a time. But after not being in touch with him for years, it seems things have gone drastically downhill. So, now you know the story of how I came to be in your family's service, and where my scars come from. Your father changed my life for the better. I'm not certain what you can do for these workers, but I know you'll listen to all sides and get to the truth. We are here, mistress. Are you ready?
So, was that the Lady Delacy herself going into the foreman's office?
It's good to see you, old friend. And yes, it was.
And why are you out here instead of in there?
She asked me to wait out here. She said she wanted to have a private word with a man.
Do you think she'll be able to get the man to see sense?
I believe that she may indeed, Alexander. If I know one thing about my mistress, it's that when she puts her mind to something, it's best to get out of her way. Otherwise, you might find yourself trampled.
Sounds like she wasn't too happy with the conditions she saw. I wouldn't trade places with the foreman for all the whiskey in the world. She sounds about ready to take his head off.
Yes, mistress. You wish to summon the rest of the foreman and the overseer? It might take some time, but I am certain we can accomplish that. Do you require anything else? Very well.
Well, she doesn't do anything halfway, does she?
Never.
She is a lot like her father.
Something tells me, though, that she's not going to stop where he did. I suppose we're about to find out. You called for me, mistress? Yes. Everyone has gone home. All the foremen and all the workers. It is getting late. Are you ready to head home as well? Of course, mistress. What do you need me to do? I will be happy to take dictation. I have pen and paper at the ready. What is it that we are writing? I see. You wish to pen an announcement to the workers and remaining foremen about the changes that will occur. Are you sure you wish to do this now? Perhaps this is something you should sleep on. Very well. I'm ready. Yes, mistress. Good. You wish me to read it back to you? Very well. As of this date, the previous management and lead foreman have been dismissed. Mr. Alexander McLeod is taking up the position of foreman, and several new managers and foremen will be hired within a fortnight. The conditions that have been proving increasingly hazardous to the workers and laborers at my factory are now to be changed in order to provide a safer work environment. Shoes and gloves will be worn, and those workers that cannot afford either item will be compensated for their purchases. Also, the machinery will be inspected and repaired on a regular schedule. Any children employed will be required to attend school a minimum of twice a week, and will be compensated for their attendance. Furthermore, physical punishment for any infractions will stop immediately. Regular inspections of the factory will occur, first weekly and then monthly, to make sure conditions are up to my standards. I thank you all for your work. Mistress, this is exceptionally ambitious. Some of these changes could be quite costly in the long run. I don't know if this factory turns enough of a profit to allow it. What? Yes, mistress, it is your decision. This is your factory. The last one remaining after the deal with Huxley. Shame that after his imprisonment, the holdings passed down to his younger sister. Should have come back to your family after all we went through. Your father did what he thought was best when he saw the conditions of the factory. But you're not willing to stop there, are you? You want to make it safe for everyone, no matter what it costs you. Mistress, you've already lost so much. Are you certain? Very well. Then we will move forward to ensure that all of your workers are safe and remain productive as they can be. Mistress, between the two of us, I'm very grateful on behalf of these workers for what you have done, especially regarding physical safety and punishments. I believe that your actions will gain much notice. Some will find it shocking. And now that I've voiced my concerns, I see that you are still willing to proceed. You're not hesitating for a moment. You are more than ready to weather whatever storm may come. But just know, little miss, that you will not weather it alone. Whatever happens, I will remain by your side.